Hello, welcome to my cake kitchen. I'm Gladys, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate cake decorating easily. So if we're meeting for the first time, hello there. I think let me just adjust my camera settings a little bit and then I'll come back and talk to you. So bear with me. If you're just joining me, bear with me. Okay, is that I wonder if that's any better. Anyway, if we're meeting for the first time again, hello and welcome to my channel. Over here, I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating easily. So if it's the first time you're meeting me, we talk all things cakes. Occasionally, we chit chat and I hand you handy tips to get on with your baking and decorating. Normally, the chat is much earlier. Today, I was running a little bit behind time, but I'm pleased to be here. What are we doing? Right, over the last 2 days, we made this cake right here. Let me just bring it forwards. We just lift the whole thing. Yeah. This is what we did over the last 2 days. And this is what you call a flower pot cake, right? A lovely cake that we made. If you ask me, this wasn't supposed to be the cake. This wasn't the plan for the cake, but we got here in the end. So when I am kind of caught up making a cake in a tutorial, it can be difficult to kind of keep me engaged in the chat, even though I have helpful moderators who kind of keep the chat going. So I thought, having made the cake, let's just come back. Let's talk about the cake in general, some of the challenges, what we can do better, some tips for you to get the best results out of it. So good afternoon, Lollipop. I'm back. Today I have a seat. I am a little bit tired because I took my little guy. Let me see if the seat will work. Did I ever tell you I have a small kitchen? So bringing a seat into the kitchen is like cramping more into the space, but let's see. Oh, okay. That's all right. Okay. Can you see me? I kind of feel very comfortable when I am actually stood talking to you, but I have a small office-like seat. So let's probably sit down, make a cup of tea. Now I feel like I should have had a slice of cake on the table and a cup of tea and then talk to you. So, today we are not decorating or baking or doing anything. We are just going to talk about this cake we made, some of the challenges we achieved, and we'll pass some more tips and discuss what are some of the upcoming cakes that you would like to see moving forward. Essentially, this is some of my decorating tutorials that I am bringing to you live. Normally, this would be filmed and then edited. But I also recognize that by so doing, some of the information gets left on the cutting floor because the part of the format where I have to film and edit means that much of the information ends up on the cutting floor. So I still get questions about cake decorating and all sorts. So in a way, I thought I'll make it much easier by presenting the decorating process on live series, just so that you can see. So this is going to be developing for a little bit because I have quite a bit of scrap cakes. And if you didn't know, this cake is made out of scrap cake. It's a cake I made and had no use for it. I wanted to develop it into other cakes. For a baker decorator, I am always trying recipes. I'm always doing something cake related. So there's always cake in my kitchen if you like. So for that reason, I have quite a bit of cake to go around, and I'm like, okay, in that case, we will sort of utilize the cake for good reason. If you were here on the tutorials yesterday, you'll find that this wasn't the cake exactly we were going for. In fact, for the flower pot cake we were going for something like this, right? Look at how different the pot is to the cake itself. But I always say, when you're trying to get a realistic representation of an element, because you can use cake as an art form, leave yourself room so that you can interpret the cake in a way that is reasonable for you. So does it look like a flower pot? Definitely. Does it look like this flower pot? Not exactly. But the object is not missed. It's still a flower pot nonetheless. And if you were here yesterday, you'll know that a fondant challenge brought us to this result, because our fondant got torn in the process, and instead of stripping the fondant up and repeating the process to create perfection, we decided to lean into the problem that developed during the decorating process. You'll ask me, if you are a cake maker or a cake decorator, a professional, and you're making a cake for a customer, you don't get the choice to just change your mind because something happened. Yes, that is true. And yesterday, when we were discussing the error that we had to lean into, I elaborated on the options available, in that if this cake was for a customer and then I developed a crisis or a challenge along the way, you fix it. So what you do is you strip it all back. Even in the midst of your frustration, you strip it all back, and then you wait, give yourself time, and then fix the problem and present the cake just as you have discussed with the customer. The most important thing about this cake we made yesterday was that even though I am trying to bring you a realistic representation of the cake decorating process, the goal was for any beginner baker who is looking to develop their skill way before they get into the business of cake making. So the intention is that even though we were having problems with this cake, the intention is that we weren't going to be making this cake for a customer. We're going to be making this cake for a loved one or somebody close to us, probably a surprise for them, so they have no clue or idea what exactly is headed to them. So that gives you room to kind of fix your own problems the way you can make it happen. And I'm sure any family member who receives this cake as a present will be very pleased. If you're in the chat, let me know if you received this cake as a present. What do you think? Would you be happy with it? Or you would be like, oh, why is it like? Let me know. Let's see, show by hands, if you received this cake, what are your real thoughts about it? Let us know. I'm not hoping to kind of do all the talking, so I'm going to be able to go into the chat a little bit, and then we can catch up in what is going on in the chat. Natalie, good morning. Well, I say good morning, but it's good afternoon over here. So good afternoon, good evening, good day. I'm Gladys. I am I'm showing this video live from my UK based home kitchen, and I hope wherever you're joining me from, you are going to find some value in this cake. Sure, let us know where you're joining us from so we can address you appropriately. Is it Fox? Is it Fox VR? Fox VR, you want to moderate? You're welcome. We don't pass on moderators tags to any and everybody. You show up, you stay consistent with us, you develop a relationship with us, then we give you the moderators badge. So if you want to moderate the chat, go ahead. Keep the chat engaged and keep everyone happy. We ask that whilst we are chatting and having a laugh over here, let's do that respectably in an engaged and an encouraging way, so that we can sort of build our own relations with each other in the group, because that is the essence of our being here. We don't just make cakes. We also try to spread a bit of positivity, stay engaged and happy on the channel. So if it's your first time you're joining us, thank you. Tapita, good morning. Tapita, I look forward to showing up every day now. Like when I show up, I'm like, I know. So when I logged in this morning, this afternoon, I was like, where is Tapita? Good morning, lovely. Great to see you. Where is Mama? Is she here? Are you with your mom today? And Lollipop, good afternoon. Danny Debrin, Is it Danny? Yeah, Danny, that is a cake. It is a cake. You're asking, is that a cake? Yes, it is a cake. Should go. Thank you, Tapita. You were pointing Danny back to the previous lives. Yes, she can. I think the flour has covered my face a little bit, hasn't it? Okay, let's try and keep things a little bit here, and then we'll see. Right. So, Lollipop said should be happy that someone cared enough to make them this cake. Okay, that's lovely. You know what? I'm boiling my kettle. Let's make ourselves a cup of tea. I don't know if I have tea bags. Do I? Yeah, I do. And I want to be able to make the cup of tea without having to get up. See, this is how small my kitchen is. I stretch a hand and I get what I want. Don't have to do anything. I'm happy to be here. Mom is still in bed. She should be up for coffee shortly. Okay. All right, Tabitha. Great to have you. Right. I am making myself a cup of tea. So those of you who are just waking up, grab yourself a hot drink and let's get to it. Okay? I am making myself a cup of tea, right? You guys are watching me make a cup of tea this morning. And let's get some milk. I literally am sitting here. I love this. Oh, I love this. Let's see. Button up. It helps when I'm standing up, but when I'm sitting, it feels like my chest is all out in the air. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. I'm just waiting to make myself a cup of tea. So, yeah. When is Mother's Day? I know the UK Mother's Day is slightly different from the US Mother's Day, right? So, when is Mother's Day for both of you? What am I missing? Yeah, I think Mom might want one. You know what? Can we talk about, I'm thinking of a bake along, right? Right. I know I have spoken about, okay. Okay, for the UK, Mother's Day is 38 days away. So that's a month, almost 5 weeks away. That is how much I know about my calendar, right, people? Right? So, Mother's Day is, I haven't had a drink today. I haven't had a cup of tea. This is my first cup of tea of the day because I went for a long walk with my little guy. Oh, it was we did about I think about 7,000 steps on one walk, and we both got so shattered. We jumped on a bus back home. Because the intention was to take a long walk in and a long walk out, and then we both got tired midway. That's how healthy I am, is it? That said, this is how much I know about Mother's Day. So let's discuss a few things whilst we are here. For those of you who are just joining us in the chat, you're welcome. It's great to have you. I am Gladys. I love cake. And if you're wondering, this thing here is cake, okay? It is cake. We are going to talk about more tips to get the best out of this in a minute. But right now, look, I know for all of you people, Lollipop, Thapita, the rest of you, right? I know the feedback has been consistent, that you continuously feel encouraged and you feel like you can now feel a little confident to get out and start baking, or sort of doing your cakes in a way that will yield you some results. So here's the question. Are you guys more into baking or decorating? Because there are two things. ideally it's great to have a bit of both, because you have to learn to bake a good cake so you can decorate it. But if that's not your thing, it's going to be a struggle for you, especially if you enjoy the decorative, which is the arty aspect, and you don't like the science. We can't all be science people and we can't all be arty people. So show by hands. If you like baking, show one hand, just put one hand in the chat. And if you like decorating, put two hands. And if you like both, put three hands. Let's see. Because I'm just looking to see, at the moment, my time is very limited. And I'm thinking, I can only do so much before it feels like I have to make an extra investment. So I am sort of thinking about ways to serve you and ways to make it efficient as well, and to make it valuable. So, I mean, it's my channel. It's your show. So I am looking for some useful feedback in a way that can implement into the things I want to do. So, okay, so Tapita likes the baking, doesn't enjoy decorating much. Okay, Lollipop likes both. I mean, that's great, you know. So I'm also thinking, like, for a very long time, I have thought about baking classes, but I am not one for one person, one-to-one classes. The reason being, it's very expensive, and I'm not going to make time for each individual person. So the hope is that in due course, I will introduce group classes, but the classes will be so small that it will still be valuable for each person, so that it's cost effective, it's better time management and all of that. Because it's not just about achieving what I want to achieve, right? It is also about serving you guys financially and in a very valuable way. Then there is also talking about the in-person classes and even making it small. I'm also thinking about convenience and the fact that I have an audience who definitely cannot make it. So can we start it as an online class? If it's an online class, we have to host it, perhaps as, say, a Zoom class or something, and it has to take a whole process. And I'm looking who is going to be interested, because that feedback is important even before I make the investment, right? Setting up and making sure all of that. So Daniel, so Daniel, you enjoy baking and decorating as well. Oh, great to have you, and thanks for sharing that with us. No, it's fine. I know you love watching me bake and decorate, but I'm asking, do you enjoy both? Do you enjoy baking and decorating yourself? Where are you at in your journey? Yeah, so for the online class, I know there's going to come a time. Okay, so let's have a conversation. I'm sitting down, I have my cup of tea. We're not doing anything serious. Today we're chit-chatting, and then we're talking about ways to serve you guys, right? So let's talk about it. The online class, it's one thing. I could film my classes as tutorials, put them on a, what do you call it? A platform, and then a subscription or a paid class, and then you go watch. That is still not valuable to me. You know why? I think there is room for that in the future. I'm not even like mad about that. If I am going to put an online class for you to purchase or be involved with, it's got to be something valuable to you. Because as a person, I am still tuned in the part of the baking and decorating process where I know the learning outcomes are to be achieved. Currently, even as an advanced professional baker, I watch baking classes. First of all, I'm bored to death about them, okay? Unless I really want to learn something, I am bored to death. So if you leave me with a video to watch, I'm like, my brain is like going left, right, and center, okay? The other thing is, it's like I learn by being engaged with it. So in my head, I'm like, even though I try to be very informative, I'm still thinking just putting a class on a website and then making it available for you to purchase. At this moment in time, I'm talking about the current time. At this moment in time, it will still be short in value for me and for you. So I don't want to do that. So I'm thinking to kind of open the opportunity for you to ask questions and be involved in the class. The first point of call has got to be an online engaged class. And right now, I don't have the resources, as in, I don't know how we can make that happen. So I am going to find that out and see whether we can make it a Zoom class and how that looks like. I don't know. I am sure there are outlets and resources where we can host the class online for you to be engaged, and then I'll come to the class, stand and teach the class, and you can be involved by asking questions. But it requires quite the sort of resource, if you know what I mean. So that is something I'm going to have to check and feed back to you guys. But I want to know what your preferences are. Is it a baking class you'd be interested in, or it's a decorating class, or it's both? That's the question. Let's get in the chat and see what you guys are saying over there. At the moment, I don't know yet, Lollipop. I don't know. It's just that I am looking to see what the interest is, and then we'll see. The other option is, I've also thought, at this point in time on YouTube, I could actually make it a membership on the YouTube platform. The problem with the YouTube platform is that if I make the membership, it means I have to create that exclusively. As in, if it's a live class, I am creating, say, a tutorial like this for, which is as you see it, it will have to be exclusive on a membership platform so that you can see. So you don't miss out on what I am already doing. But it also means I have to make the investment into making those classes specifically for you. So that if you, I think that for now, that seems like the most achievable thing. So if it's on the membership on the YouTube platform, you can watch it in your own time. And then when you do, if I come back on a live like this, you can ask me questions and I can answer, or I will create a room over there to answer your questions. I don't know. At the moment, it's like, okay, we are growing. The interest is growing, but I don't want to go off and serve you something you haven't asked for. Does that make sense? We need a list of the tools and ingredients. Yes, of course. If we're going to be making, if we're going to say undertake a baking class, I have to create all of that resource in PDF file, downloadable format. You have a list of the tools and ingredients. The method is created for you. A dish. It's almost like I have to create you an online booklet. And then I will pass you my tips. I will also pass you my my sort of resources on what ingredients to buy. Like, literally hand you everything you need, and all you have to do is show up and ask me questions, and let's get to the task at hand. I think for me, that seems like the most valuable thing, other than just handing you a list of assumed things. Trust me, if I have to create a class of any kind, it will be no less than what you should expect or what you are like paying for. So that is why I am actually asking the question. Yeah, if that's the case, you know what, as we are discussing, as we're talking about it, if that was going to happen, it wouldn't just happen. For instance, you will get your class intake information, as in you're looking at a month before the dates and everything, and then maybe a week or two before the class is due to happen, you will have all the information. It's downloadable, or it's available for you to print out or catch up online. And like I said, it will include everything, including my best tips and recommendations for products that you need to get, all of it, so that you are not left with doubt or questions, if you like. But the intention is just to find out what interests you so that we can go and work that out. Okay. That said, but I also want to create the, say, let's try what do you call it? A bake along, a live one. Let's try it on one of our live, just so that we can see what it feels like before we even transition it into doing something else. Does that make sense? So I'm also thinking, oh, it would be great to host a bake along, but I'm thinking if it's on a live, I won't be seeing you. You'll be doing the baking at home. Do you know what I mean? So unless you are set up at home, and then we know that this live is dedicated to guys like yourself who are at home in that time, undertaking the bake, and then asking questions whilst I'm still here. Does that sort of make sense? Alternatively, the bake along can still be moved on to, say, a Zoom again, and then we have all of you, and then it's going to be an engaged one. But I think it all depends on timing and availability for most of you, because I recognize that for you, Lollipop, you are on the same time zone as me because we're both in the UK. But for Thapita, her time may be different and other people's time may be slightly different, so it can be yeah. Tabitha said having the chat and the classes and things reminds her of when she was in high school and had to take food cooking classes. Well, it reminds me of when I actually took my first lot of intensive cake decorating tutorials. Those were exciting days, Time has moved on so much. It's almost quarter to 8 a.m. for Tabitha. Okay. I'm just wondering, Tabitha, what time do you leave for work, though? Romulo, you are back. Romulo, I think, were you here yesterday? You were here yesterday, right? Did you say I should stand up real quick? Today I don't want to stand up. I'm feeling a bit lazy. I've been working so hard all week, right? I don't want to stand up, Romulo. Romulo, you can do the standing up and the walking for me, okay? You went here yesterday or the day before. I know I saw you somewhere. I think, was it yesterday or the day before, I think? Okay, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So, one day a week, sometimes two. Oh, okay. That's fun. Oh, so you have all mornings to yourself and then hang out before work time. That is good. Look at you. Tapita only works in the afternoon. Okay. That's why you go and come back and sit by your fire pit and have fun. Romulo. Anyway, talking about the sort of bake along, let's try and fix the bake along, okay? So that we can see the logistics of the bake along before we even transition to the idea of the classes, right? But I'll keep you updated along the way about anything else we need to do. But yes, it's really going to be fun catching up with all of you guys, talking to you about cakes, and actually actively doing something baking related. Isn't it fun sitting in the kitchen? Because I'm kind of used to standing up in the kitchen. I've never sat here before. Today I just thought, oh, I'm a little bit tired, and because we are not going to be undertaking anything serious, I thought, let me just sit down. And it's actually nice to sit down. Right. So where is Tabitha is saying, can you give what tip do you want to know, Romulo? Tabitha says, I love a fire pit. Oh, okay. Tabitha, you even have a pond. Look at you. Lollipop. Let's go and pay Tabitha a visit, shall we? I'm watching this. I don't know why I haven't seen your video so long. Oh, the beast. You know what? YouTube is not doing right by me. It's YouTube. I am so sorry. Look, we are here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and we've been here since yeah, we've been here very consistently for a while now. So if you haven't seen the notification bell, that is because sometimes YouTube doesn't notify. I don't know why, but YouTube is not doing right by me at all. Okay, thank you for coming back though, the beast. You're welcome. I hope you find some value in today. We're not baking. We did all of that yesterday, and today we are catching up on giving you guys value, the way forward growing, and bake along baking classes, whilst also chit-chatting about life generally. I have a cup of tea here. You grab yourself a hot drink if you care. For Tabitha, she's waking up, so coffee in the morning. Lollipop, what are you having? By the way, what's for dinner, Lollipop? You're not ordering that takeaway, are you? Because if you do, I'm going to send the accountant your way. I'm kidding, right? I think I'm having burgers for tonight. So there's just a cup of tea here. Did I tell you I don't drink? Okay. Some days I kind of feel like, can we have something other than a hot drink? And then I realized that orange juice, or is it apple and mango sort of juice? Okay. Okay. Romulo, what advice do you need? Is it about cake decorating? Romulo wants a tip or some advice, but what advice would you like? Right? I am no guru at anything, but I can tell you a thing or two about cake. So what do you want to know about cake? Is it about cake or is it about your life? Because if it's about your life, I'm sorry, sir, I can't help you. But if you want a tip or two about cake decorating, you're welcome. I can help you with that. I've got coffee. Oh, Lollipop has got coffee. Lollipop, don't we all? Have you heard that thing called cost of living? That bugger called cost of living. It's beating all of us. We're having to pinch our pennies and watch our spending. It is wild. Okay? So look, sis, I'm not even mad about it. It's pasta tonight. I think for me, it's air fried burgers tonight. I think air fried burgers with an omelette and avocado cream on it. So that's my dinner. Lollipop, did you just scream that out loud? Lollipop, you are not alone, my dear. Sip. Okay. Oh, Lord. Cost of living is so out of control. It's wild. Like, this morning I was doing a budget intake. I'm not very strict with, I'm not one of those people who is just meticulously budgeting. But I think it's got to a point where you have to look at the figures and look at your own spending habits and stuff. And boy, when I had a look, I was like, okay, the math isn't mathing, okay? So, cost of living.
Bro, I'm playing legit right now.
Yeah, the last 3 years has really been tight, my dear. It has really, really been tight. And you know what? I think everyone is struggling one way or another. Every person is. You know, some days I look at my neighbors and I'm like, ooh, you know, them people that look like they have it all together, and you know, 2 family cars, the dog, and everything just looks, and I'm like, and then I realized that, you know what, until they tell you, you never know how people are coping with their own struggles. So you're not alone, okay? You're not alone. You're welcome. You know, we're all dealing with a thing or two. I think for me, cake decorating is my sort of escape, so I don't have to worry about it at all. Because you'd be surprised what people are dealing with. And I don't know anybody around me that is not like looking at their pennies and looking after the expenses, you know, and everybody is struggling, my dear. Everybody is. So hopefully it gets better. That's all. Otherwise, if you're alive, you're well, you have health, the rest will fix itself, my dear. Cheers to you. Me and my cup of tea, right? That said, Romulo was asking for some advice, but Romulo, I haven't heard from you. Tapita, how does this student loan thing work? I have no idea, only because I live in the UK. But oh, you know what? If you think about student loans, at least you think, oh, that has gone into some investment, isn't it? Ah, Lollipop. I am so sorry. That must have been disappointing, isn't it? What happened there? Is it did somebody get ahead of just asking? Did someone get ahead of you? Did it go into different things that you didn't know about? It's quite a significant amount to lose over there. You must have felt so disappointed, isn't it? It's not like anyone is waiting for the Anand to pass. So I kind of get that. That definitely wasn't the sentiment. But it must have been so disappointing, especially if you were promised it, then you would expect that it would be honored. So what happened? Oh gosh, is it one of those things? Oh, okay, it was supposed to be one of those things. The producer is sending me a message. The producers are going somewhere. They're leaving me to me and my chit chat here. Okay, right. So it was one of those things where okay, that person didn't keep it to themselves, did they? Oh, that must. Oh, I hate to think about it, because then it's like, oh, not only would you have lost out on the money, but you would have lost out on the relationship too. Because if someone did that to me, I don't know if I'd ever see them again. Anyway, if you're just joining us, we are a cake making channel. I keep having to remind myself we make cakes. But today we're just catching up about all things non-cake. Okay? So if you would like to join us, grab yourself a cup of tea, a hot drink of your choice, and just join the chat here, right? Lollipop, honey, that must feel so awful. Wow. Right. So yeah, if you're wondering what we are catching up on, we have a friend to the group that is discussing some troubles. You know what, Lollipop? I'm sending you hacks. That must just be awful. Yeah, even if you're used to being let down, that doesn't justify how crushing that must feel for you. I am so sorry, darling. I am so sorry. God. New teeth. What are you going to do? Do they look like horse teeth? Stop it. Lollipop. Lollipop, I'm just trying to make a light of the situation, but it must be so crushing and so devastating for you. Look, I don't want Essex people to come for me, but do they look like somebody who's just come from the only way is Essex? Lollipop, I'm sending you some hugs. Okay, my dear. That must be so annoying. Lollipop, you are my person, okay? You wonder if they made it to Turkey. But you know what? Life has its way of fixing some of these things. It's not a feel-good moment. And yeah, catching yourself back in debt and hoping that this would have made a difference to your life still is soul crushing nonetheless. But life has a way of fixing these things one way or another. So I hope this you find some peace in knowing that you will be okay in the end. All right. That said, Tapita says, "Oh, looks like family drama." Family drama. So Tapita says it sounds like well, Tapita was supposed to get her inheritance from her granny and the children. Oh my God. Oh, what is it? What is it in the water about people and inheritance money? What is it in the water about people? And I mean, okay, somebody educate me a little bit about this, right? If you're supposed to get an inheritance, is it just by word of mouth, like the person passes it on? Does it not come across as though there must be some sort of a binding document or something that will make it enforceable? If you just leave it open to trust that, okay, I told Lollipop to hang in there and that she will get some money, what is the guarantee Lollipop will get the money? Okay, so yeah, it's funny. Lollipop, you'd be surprised. I agree with you. Lollipop is saying more people have her experience than you'd care to know, which is true. You'd be so surprised some stories that you hear from family members, like you would be really surprised, like the stories that exist in family about the things that they do to each other, and you kind of think this is wild, you know. So yeah, oh, so Lollipop, you kept being they kept moving the inheritance from pillow to post. God, that must be so devastating. Wow. So people are not keeping their word about it. And Tapeta, the inheritance was supposed to be in grandma's will, granny's will. God, what's wrong with these family people? God, you know what? The sad thing I'm thinking about right now is the fact that it's not just the loss. I mean, when you dishonor or don't honor such a big thing like that, not only do you have to grieve the person who has passed and their wishes not observed, you also have to deal with the new occurrence of a relationship that has changed for a lifetime. And it's like, it's so many losses on many levels. And for that, it's like, how do you deal with that? Do you know what I mean? That must really be, oh. you know what? Some days, Tapita, we say that, but we know that once you share blood with them, they are family. You just have to come to the understanding they are not, especially if their actions have hurt and they do not intend to sort of make amends or do anything, exercise any contrition. Then yeah, you say you treat them like the taxpayer, like the Bible would say. But it's still not easy nonetheless, is it? Because then it's still a broken family nonetheless. And Lollipop, I agree. You know what? If you think your family is that ish show, I think we all have that in our families. You'd be surprised what some stories we can all share about our family members. You know, I am so sorry, right? Yeah, there is something. Lollipop, you have you are a hearty, good-hearted person, because it's like, oh, how do you deal with that and still see them and know that they took the money, didn't give you yours, and ah. But anyway, what can you do? Some days you just mend fences and then you move on from it. So I hope you have made peace, even in light of the betrayal and the oh, you don't see them a lot. Does it make it any easier? The pain, the sort of annoyance of it. Does it make it any easier? That said, Tapita, Tapita, you know what? I think death in the family or crisis in the family just has a way of unearthing the difficult things that we keep hidden for a long time. And yeah, I wish it wasn't. I know, Lollipop, I see what you're saying. When you get yourself stuck and you feel like, gosh, I could do with this because the money would have helped. Yeah, you do kind of wonder and then you regress back to what they did. But you also think if you get ahead of it and you have a hold of it, you don't worry about it, do you? You know, it doesn't make it any less of a betrayal, does it? Right? So yeah, Lollipop, these family members, I just wish that yeah, if the passing of a family member won't unearth other issues that would be more traumatic and lead to more pile-on for an individual. Oh, that is annoying. Ugh, family members, eh? Oh, God. I have stories and I think about it. I'm like, oh, you know what? You say a prayer and keep it moving. The good Lord has a way of rewarding that, you know. And my sort of yeah, I think yeah, the Lord knows everything. And as a Christian, some days that my only recourse is to say a prayer and hope for the best and trust the Lord on my walk. So yeah, it is really sad when you suffer betrayal from family members and that. But hey, sending you guys hugs and saying, you know what, money, the worry of money is a real thing. But one way or another, hopefully it gets sorted. I know. I think we all need a fire pit. Tapeta, your fire pit around the pond. As long as there's no alligator in there, Tapeta, are you sure? we need to sit by the pond and drink coffee and a hot drink and hug each other and just catch up on life and feel better about ourselves, because sometimes you find that you find family outside of the people who are supposed to be family, isn't it? Hello, Dolly. Hello, darling. How are you? Dolly, have you finished your class? Come tell us all about it. We are still here. We are curious. Okay. We are nosy people. Yeah. Last time you were here, you were going into surgery. How is surgery? I hope it went well. Great to have you. We are over here just chit-chatting and catching up about life. Oh, you have a creek that runs out to the fish hatchery. Oh my God, what does all that mean? Okay, you have a creek. Okay. Creek that runs through out to the fish hatchery. So, do you have a fish hatchery? I suppose, Tapeta, the fish hatchery is sort of the place that you hatch the fish. Am I obtuse for imagining that? Dolly, great to have you. Great to have you. This is what we did on our recent live. We missed you. When I saw the yellow, I thought it was Laura. This is the cake we did on our most recent live, creating sand and this, what do you call it? This potted plant cake. So today we just thought we'll come sit down and catch up and see what life is like moving forward, what we are going to be doing. But we've been sitting here nursing our sore wounds about money problems. Okay, and just chit-chatting. So yeah, Rumula, catching up about our little money problems and our family drama. Okay, these family members that are out here betraying us left, right, and center. It's all right. The Lord is gracious. Okay. Okay, so Tapita has a creek. She says I've got it. So it's out. Oh, okay. Yes, I know. Tapita, you did say you lived in a very you lived in a rural place. I remember you saying that, right? You're not done yet. I'm struggling with the fondant. I saw the flower pot on the community post and oh my goodness. It's oh okay, Dolly, you are speaking our language. Oh, a population of about 5K. Lollipop! Can you imagine going to live with Tapita in her small community? Let's leave all these people who are giving us headache here. Lollipop, come on, pick your British passport and let's keep it moving. Okay, we're going to go see Tapita. Tapita, you have to make room around the creek for us. We are going to eat. Look, I will come with the cake. Lollipop will come with the takeaway. And yeah, Dolly, were you saying our cake will be great for Mother's Day? Yes. We were discussing that in the chat, and I'm kind of thinking about how we can possibly make that baking or decorating a long class so that you guys can learn to make it for Mother's Day. I know the UK Mother's Day is very different from the US Mother's Day anyway. Yes. Okay, so yeah, Lollipop, talking about going to live in a community of 5,000 people. Everybody will know your business, isn't it? But you know what? I love rural living. I like for an African, I don't like the city life at all. I live in a town, right? But I live on the outskirts of the town. So it's not rural, but it's not like it's not busy. It's an exclusive small dwelling on the outskirts of the town, which I love. But my dream is to end up in a cottage, in proper countryside cottage, maybe a 3-bedroom countryside cottage where my neighbors are over 80. Where I can do my shopping 3 days, like a month in advance and never have to go out. Look at me. Lollipop. Oh, so Tapita, you grew up in the same dwelling. Wow. I know, Lollipop. living in a community like that, it will be so comforting, isn't it? I have found like living in the UK a little bit unwelcoming. I don't know. I would like, probably because I am African, okay? As an African, Dolly would know this. Like, everybody is in your business. There is nothing like, we are very communal based, so everybody knows everybody, and it's not just for the fact that people just know you. It is also because the community is built on supporting each other, and you get active assistance. So for instance, your kids can go to school and come back, and if you're not home, your neighbor will take them in. It's so lovely, and it's so homely, and it's nice. And over here, it's like you're on your own all the time. It can be a bit depressing, isn't it? Oh, okay. So you Tapita moved out. So Tapita, you still live in the same in the same community where you were born, but you've moved out of the family home. Is that my understanding? That's great. Yeah, Dolly, I do miss that. You know what? I think one of the biggest cultural shocks for me living in the UK is getting, when I used to catch the bus, getting to the bus stop and then meeting people and saying hello to them and them looking at you like, why are you talking to me? It took me a minute, and after so many years of even living in the UK, I still haven't gotten used to that hostile sort of attitude where you get to the bus stop and you have to pretend that the person standing next to you doesn't exist. It is still a thing that in my head, I'm like, how how is that even a thing, but it's a different culture, it's a different attitude, and I have learned to adapt, but it has been a very harsh form of adapting, because you think even your neighbor, you say hello to your neighbor and your neighbor is looking at you like, why are you talking to me, or what's wrong with you? It is wild. Whereas where I come from, everybody, like, there, it's almost like you don't think about the next person if you're talking to them. There is nothing like a stranger to you. I can think of my own life's experiences where I grew up in Ghana, where I have earned lifelong friends, and guess how I've met them? Probably stranded in the middle of the road somewhere, and a taxi driver who is supposed to be taxiing his vehicle to work to earn a living wage goes out of their way to give me a lift home, make sure I'm safe with my mom. And then from there on, like, communication is established, and this person becomes like family to me. And you think you don't get that over here, which is kind of wild. Tapita moved out of her family home in 95. Okay. Okay, she moved into her new house, house in 95. And then when she turned 18. Oh, okay. And then moved back. Oh, okay. Wow. That's quite the journey. Lollipop. Well, Lollipop, I'm kind of the person, if I meet my person at the bus stop, we can literally stand there having a laugh. Of course, when you meet people on the street, it can be weird because people are kind of moving, but I'm just like, the thought of even trying to exchange pleasantries and acknowledge each other whilst you're waiting for the bus can almost feel like a foreign thing for most people. But otherwise, yeah, you don't want to go fraternizing with strangers. You never know who the stranger on the street is. Oh, oh, Rajini, hi there. Good afternoon. We are back here talking cakes and catching up about life. Today, I'm doing, let's have fun, shall we? Okay. So the subject of our cake that we were supposed to be discussing is secondary now. I wanted to come back and cut it, but I don't want to. I don't want to. But Dolly, the prophetess, came and thought this would make for a good Mother's Day cake. So let's go and plan and see if we can actually come back and execute this for Mother's Day. Okay, I'll go and create a list of the things we need, and then we do the baking, and then we set it, and then we create the cake on. I'm thinking of how we can do it, if we can do it on a Zoom class. The Zoom class is very possible, except in my mind, I'm thinking, can I do it from the kitchen, or I have to transition it? You know what? Now that the plan is there, let me just go and see how we can make it efficient, and then I'll come back and I'll talk to you about it. That said, lollipop and tapeta. Yes, it is actually such a blessing. It is a blessing to have what we have, even in spite of life's challenges. And you know what? Much so a blessing to have a whole community online here. It almost feels like it's virtual, but look at us. We are sitting here talking about things that we would normally be sharing with people that we have acquainted with and have become friends with. So it is actually a blessing to be here, and such a blessing to share our lives in the small tidbits that we have. So thank you guys for sharing all of that with me. You know, it is really nice, and I don't take it for granted that you actually make a choice to come here and catch up with me. So yes, it is fun being here, and I think one of the biggest blessings I have now is obviously being here with you guys. It is one of the joyous parts of my day when I have to think about coming on a live. It's like, can we hurry up and get to work? You know, when they say when you have a job, you never have to do anything else. Yeah, this is the kind of job I enjoy, you know. So thank you guys for being so supportive. And yeah, back to the subject of cake. Lollipop, would you rather we took this flour out and replaced it with the strawberries in the chat? You know what? Did you notice I could talk for England, Lollipop? I tend to hide behind the subject of cake, but sometimes, yeah, we all need someone to talk to. But if you leave me to it, I will talk forever. Yeah, you know what? I think it will look good either way. I think the strawberry is more, it's attainable, but considering the flowers we have here, it is equally attainable, isn't it? So I wouldn't worry too much. Wow, Tapeta, you are committed. Now, you know what? Now I kind of feel like I have no excuse. Remember when I said I have commitment issues where I didn't want to commit to the lives because I was worried I wouldn't be able to show up consistently? Now, because I know there's like you guys kindly expect it, and it's not the sort of expectation that is toxic. I think it's a positive thing. My goal actually is to make this a live where it's very interactive. At the moment, I'm filming over the phone, but if we transition it to a camera and we have a setup, I think you guys can kind of like call in and stuff. But that's in the future. That's my hope, to kind of make it into like a show, like a baking show. So we bake or we decorate, and then we take a. So whilst, you know, I am hoping to keep the same format. Okay, the same format where we bake, we decorate, and then you are part of the process. So my hope is that, say if we transitioned it into a show, right? And the live starts. If we do the first, so think about, we're not making a morning show. We'll still keep it in the afternoon. But say if we transitioned it into a show, we start with the baking. And if the baking is happening, that part of the show after the baking becomes like a format where we are either discussing baking tips, you get to call in about your baking problems and stuff, and then sometimes there is like general life development issues that we can discuss whilst we're waiting for the bake. And then once the baking is done, we get to eat it, and then we move on. So we're looking at, say, an hour and a half to 2 hours maximum for the live show. That is the intention I have for it. It requires an investment. So the goal is that as we are growing, if we have extensions of the channel, as in whether it's membership or classes, the hope is that you guys will be involved and engaged, because the idea is not just to make money and go off on holiday and enjoy my life. The idea is to kind of create those opportunities so that the financial outcomes will be reinvested into the business of growing the channel and the platform in a way that will continue to deliver you consistent value. Okay, so that is actually my goals for the channel. So I really hope that this is a thing for a very long time, and we don't just make cakes and talk cakes, but we will extend it into tangible forms that will continue to be as valuable as they are. But at the moment, it's fun to sit in my kitchen, chat away whilst engaging with you guys about life and everything else. So that is Tapita, you get anxiety. Yes, I know. I get worried too. But what I don't want to do is make excuses for myself. So, for instance, when I am running late, for instance, today I was out with the boy. We took a long walk. The intention was to just take a long walk with him, because these kids end up sitting on the screen a lot. So we wanted to take a long walk. It's about 50 minutes, an hour's walk, and he loves walking. So my hope was to go for a long walk and come back. But both of us just ended up tired along the way, like really tired. And then we stopped and we caught the bus. We can't walk back. We have no other alternative. So that ended up taking much of our day. And when I got in, I was so tired, right? I now have this as my job, like coming to catch up with you guys. I have to think of it as a job, a fun job that I love nonetheless. But for me to be able to commit to it, I have to treat it like a job. So even though I came home and I felt like I could sit on the sofa, put my feet up and cuddle with my son, I just thought, boy, mama has a job to do. Okay, goodbye. And yeah, he ended up doing something else, and here I am. But he's gone out with dad. So 7 he is. Tapita, he is 7. I have a 7-year-old who instructs me and tells me about my own life. You know what, Lollipop, you are just my spirit person. Honestly, I walked out before I remembered, let me go and pick my wallet. That would be me too. I would leave everything else without a bag. In fact, the part of the reason why I picked the wallet was because I wanted to make a quick stop at the post office. Actually, that was the reason. If that wasn't it, I am normally that person who will leave everything else except for my phone. And even depending on what day it is, I will leave my phone simply because some days I just want a quiet, nice walk. And then when I get tired, that has happened to us before. Oh God, there was a day we went for a long walk. We didn't pack any energy enhancing food or anything at all. I just woke up and I was feeling adventurous. I'm like, boy, let's go. And then we go, and then along the way he was shattered and he was like, Mama, I am too tired. And he's sitting in the mud. It was a mess. It was such a mess. Look, you're not the only people who have sassy children. If I told you that 7-year-old reads me my Bill of Rights over here, you'll be surprised. Those kids. Okay, so Tabitha says in the US you have to bring your reusable bags to the grocery store or you have to buy one. Oh my God. Don't tell me about those shopping bags. Tabitha, don't tell me. Because I when I go to my local, say Aldi or Lidl or even Tesco, some days I tell myself, oh, I'm just picking one item. And then I end up with a basket full of items. And then I have, because I go and you look in the car boot and there is so much bags already. Bags I have to, and we're not talking just the reusable, as in plastic bags. We're talking the thick, hard bags that you carry. And guess what? I have more. I think at this point I have more than 10 and counting. And those things are not cheap and they're reusable. But I always go into the shop telling myself, oh, I don't want anything that requires a bag. And then guess what? I have to pay 30 pence for a whole plastic bag because I end up over shopping. That is the story of my life. Okay? That is me right here. It's annoying when, so some days I end up just picking the Aldi sort of hard bags because I then tell myself, the story I tell myself, oh, I'll reuse it. And if I don't reuse it, I could use it for something else. The annoying thing for me is when I have to pay 30 pence for the Tesco bags. It's like, why? Why am I paying 30 pence for a bag? Why? I know. Carpenter, you could build a dang house out of them. Yep. You know what? The more we talk about some of these things, the more I realize how very similar we are as people, and we have the same problems. Remember when we were talking about the kids eating stuff out of the fridge and not telling you, and you checking in the fridge and finding out the milk is gone and yet the milk bottle is still in there. I can't tell you the number of times I've screamed at myself like a maniac out here thinking, who does this? Only to find out this is not new. It happens in other households. So guys, thank you for validating some of the struggles that sometimes one feels are so unique. Because you're like, why does this happen? We need to, yep, we need to build a cake mansion and have our own retreat. You know, who knows, people? We can have cake retreats in the future, okay? It could be a thing. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe, okay? But we don't just want you as a passive subscriber who's just hit the subscribe and gone, here you go, we give you the subscribe and then you disappear. We want you to be engaged with us because that's the only way YouTube continues to promote us and to show us to other people who will find us valuable. So please, please, please do subscribe to the channel, enjoy the content, like the video, and come be our friend in the community chat. Come be our friend. But whilst we're talking about our look at Lollipop trying to explain in British slang to Tarpeter. Tarpeter, you are my kind of person. Okay? Right. So anyway, whilst we're talking about our own little things, who has seen the update on Blake Lively and the that story is getting worse, isn't it? Who is following it? Who is? Because I'm still following that drama. I told you I love drama. Lollipop. Do take a peek out and check out what the latest is. It is wild. The more you follow that story, you're like, ugh, Christ. But it's a lot. Okay? It is a lot. But when I think about it, I also think, you know what? Let's just stay cake making over here. Let's try and be positive over here. Let's try and encourage each other over here. And oh my God, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. You are genius. British slang will kill you. Lollipop, 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 lollipop. You have Tapeta thinking about things that she probably shouldn't be thinking about right now. Wow, that's a thing. Okay. At least you know now, Tapeta. At least you know now that it is not lollipop, don't push it. Now, lollipop, you out here winding Tapeta up with your British slang. Okay? Oh God. Tapeta, Tapeta. Tapeta, you make me laugh. Jeez, that's the funniest thing. Lollipop, come and tell us all about it now. Come tell us. What does it mean when someone says butters? I want to start speaking British slang in my community. Tapeta. Tapeta, don't kill me, okay? Tapeta. You know what? Because Ghanaians, the thought of a slang, because the Ghanaian language, in Ghana, we speak different languages. And it has nothing, it's a completely different language to English. So even if I thought about a Ghanaian slang, you wouldn't understand that, right? Plus, interesting fact, we don't have swear words in Ghanaian language, which is actually funny. We have insults, as in we have insult, as in an insult, but we don't have swear words. So the sort of reaction or verbation that is deemed a swear word, and you can think of them on a spectrum, we don't have that in Ghanaian language. So it was weird to me when I came here and there were some sort of verbation for, say, swear words. It's like it was weird to me. And it was almost like, for me, it was something fun to say. I really didn't find it as serious when people swear and use the F word and all of that. I didn't find it as serious as it's meant to be until I kind of understood the culture within which I was, and I thought, okay, now that's funny. So let's just say now I know about swear words, and if you trip me off on a bad day, perhaps I could swear. But I say that to say in Ghanaian language we don't have swear words. We have insults now. Yeah. Tapeta sprinkling in swear words like a sailor. I need to know both. Yeah, we don't have swear words at all. Yes. Well, okay, lollipop, you get the point. Like Ghanaian people and insults. It's a bit like we insult by using idiomatic expressions and proverbs. It's wild. And if you understand the culture and the language, it is actually, someone could insult you and still leave you thinking about what they have said to you. So it takes a minute for it to land. You almost have to think about it. So yeah, like wisdom is chasing them, but you're faster. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, say, if somebody wanted to tell you that you weren't pretty, you think the simplest way to say that in English form is to say, oh, what an ugly looking thing, right? But you are likely to hear more like, oh my God, when the Lord was dishing out beauty, you were so far from it, weren't you? Yeah. Yeah, so that is our kind of insult. Yes. And I think Dolly is saying, when you are angry, the tone of your voice also makes people understand. Okay, so our sort of expression is our expression of, say, we are very expressive, whether we are happy, angry, or sad. We are super expressive. So for me, for instance, one thing about me, I am very loud. Okay, you must have noticed that. So I could be laughing and having fun with my friends, and if you're a culture that is very like quiet and very put together and tightly kept, you'll be like, what's happening? Those people are fighting. No, we are having fun. Okay. And it's the same when we are mad. Oh God, you don't want to meet an African who is mad. Ooh. It's like in your face, and yep. So, but otherwise, yeah, we don't do swear words. We don't know what that is. But yes, telling you are ugly can just take a different form that will cause you to think twice. Okay, that's all. So yeah, Tapeta, an example is like, oh my God, when beauty was being dished out, you were so like, you didn't receive any, did you? Like, it's like, are you insulting me, or you're giving me something to think about? Oh, you know what? You would be, because, and this is not because I'm Ghanaian. If you come from a culture that is very like uh, aware of people, and you have to almost stop, you'd be shocked by how kind strangers are to you. I think as a cultural value of us as Ghanaians, we are just hospitable. From the airport to way down to your destination, you will find strangers just wanting to help you. And if you're not used to it, I think your first point of wonder will be, what do they want from you? And genuinely, people want to help people you don't know. So obviously, if you're aware and you've been told about it, it's an opportunity for you to kind of be wary of people who may want to take advantage of you like that. But otherwise, I think one of the obvious cultural shocks is how quick strangers are just trying to warm up to you to offer you assistance. It's a very, I have heard of stories of people who have gone for a holiday and haven't had to do anything for themselves or even spend their own money, because they've found a family that has been so hospitable and just wanted to treat them kindly. Yeah, there are stories like that, but obviously you have to bear in mind that there are people who might take advantage of that opportunity, and you may put yourself at risk. But otherwise, as a culture, we are very, very hospitable and super, super, super kind. So the Western way of living and being super cautious of your environment and weary of people is a great culture shock for me, you know. Laura is back. Hello, darling. Where's the calculator? Ah. Lollipop, are you saying with your 8K in debt you're not going on holiday anytime soon? Lollipop, Laura, I think let's rustle some resources out here. Laura, we need your accountant calculator. Lollipop is 8K in debt, and it's something that is weighing her down because we've been talking about it. The cost of living has been tough on everyone. So Laura and your calculator, give us some tips on how to manage. We are already managing in this life, okay? We are cutting back. I think Lollipop, even though she had the cheeky takeaway, it was because she was poorly, okay? So I don't suspect Lollipop you're sat there eating takeaway all the time, okay? But Laura, welcome to the chat. You have a job to do. Bring your calculator along and give us some tips. I think Laura is an accountant, not a budget expert, but that what do you call it? The Excel forms are useful, aren't they? So come on, Laura. Laura, come tell us what to do so that we can get out of debt. Okay? Tapeta. Laura, we are interested to hear the rule of thirds. How does that work? Tapeta, I have no doubt. I second what Dolly was saying. Dolly, Ghanaian people are very, very hospitable, and I have no doubt, Tapeta, with your kind of person and spirit, you will love it. You will love it in Ghana if you went on holiday. So, Laura, the rule of thirds, we want to hear it. Pass us some tips. Let's see how that will work for us, because I think we could all do. Let me make an assumption. The assumption is the rule of thirds is if you get your money, split it into 3, isn't it? Then what do you do? I don't know. So what's the rule of thirds here? Okay. So when you get your paycheck, where possible, split it into 3. Third in savings, third on accommodation, and 1/3 living expenses. Now, obviously, in the world we live, that's not easy. True. That's not easy. 1/3 of the total. Okay. Wow. What if let's just say the savings part doesn't count now, Laura. Full disclosure, the savings part doesn't count. So, what do you do then? Because when when you look at the math and you realize that there is 1/3 for savings is not going to work, what do you do? Lollipop is getting real in the chat. Just like, where do you factor in stupid things? Well, I think if by the time you get to Laura for assistance, you would have had to curb your stupid, the so-called stupid things, right? And impulsive buying. So when you're in debt, it's always good to use the savings, paying back. If accommodation is more than 1/3, you look at your living expenses, which includes impulse buying. Laura, I should give you a call, shall I? Oh, Lollipop. Oh, Lollipop. I think that it's easier said than done, Lollipop. I mean, I don't smoke, okay? I don't drink, but what do I like? I like cake. Stop spending the money on things you shouldn't be spending the money on, okay? Oh, God. Oh. I think we need to kind of have a Zoom call. It's about trying to get, and yes, smoking kills. I gave up smoking at the beginning of the year. Not easy, but my bank account is happy. I think we all need to book a Zoom session with Laura so she can whip us back into shape with some accounting tips, isn't it? You know what? Giving up a habit can be difficult to do, but Laura, well done for trying. Well done. I mean, my biggest vice, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but my biggest vice is this thing here. Okay? I end up overspending on things I shouldn't be. Okay? This thing here. Cake. Cake is my vice. I end up buying so many cake products. Oh, Laura! You see? Laura, you see when I told you you had a serious job. Okay, so you know what? Now, okay, can we organize on our next Zoom session? I say Zoom session. On our next live, if Laura is here with us, let her come and give us some practical tips on how to manage our money. Because clearly, we're all feeling the pinch. Tapita said she is nearly 15K in debt, including student loan. Lollipop, I think all of us can do with some sort of tips on managing our finances. Did I miss something? Dolly said, I think Dolly everyone has got something, right? And Dolly, I can assure you, it's not just cake stuff you are buying. It's also the food you are cooking. them Ghanaian kenke and fish is not cheap. Okay? By the time you go to a Ghanaian shop and come back, 120 pounds that you haven't budgeted for is gone. And yet you think you're saving. I know debt is so subjective. Laura, you would know, isn't it? You're the accountant. I mean, you hear somebody in, say, 3 grand debt and they are panicked. They're like, And then you hear somebody in 25K debt and they are also panicked. Then you're like, 3K, 25K, like, one should be panicking more than the other, but it's all subjective and it's also very personalized and individualized. So I think we could all do with some tips on how to manage our debts and how to manage our money. I don't think anybody is too old to learn about money management. And the funny thing is that by the time we actually want to learn about managing our money, we are already in a crisis, isn't it? Dolly, I like your attitude. Attitude. You're like, hey, I spent 600 pounds on food, but hey, let's live. You know what? It's all about balance. It's all about balance. If 600 pounds on food budget is going to cover like your food cost and it's 600 pounds seems like such a huge bill. But when you think about it, you're a family of 4. And that doesn't even include like the additional family, because we have family who pop in and out, and most of the time you have to feed everybody who comes and goes. Hosting for a Ghanaian family is very expensive, but it's not accounted for. So it's all about balance. For a family of four, you would think £600 is really not that much, especially if you're having like proper cooked meals in the evening, like your fufu and your palm soup, and it's not, my dear. I know. I was telling you. I know. It's not just cake stuff you're buying. It's the food too. Okay. Hey, hi, mom. Good morning. That's Tapita's mom. She's woke up now. Good morning, Tapita. Be a good daughter and give mom a cup of tea. Okay, a cup of coffee. Okay, and make her feel comfortable. Mom, good morning. I know, Laura. Oh, managing those pennies. It's so hard. I kind of feel like she's got coffee. Okay, let mom sip her coffee in the morning. Is that brewed coffee? Is that brewed coffee or instant coffee? That sounds like a daft question, but I don't like coffee, so I'm just curious. You know what? Laura has been in the chat trying to help us along, especially with our spending over here. So I think it would, yes, for coffee. Laura, what drink are you having? I made myself a cup of tea, but I hardly drank it, and I've been sitting here chit-chatting to you guys. Brewed coffee. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Great. Tapita, look at you being a very good daughter, looking after mom over there. Yeah, I think it would be lovely as we kind of keep our lives going and keep interacting. It would be lovely in the future if we can just come and talk about specific things that we need solutions to, okay? Because whilst we make cakes, for you to be able to go out and develop your hobby and create something out of it, you have to have the means and the ability to do that. And it is important that, you know what, we find a safe space where we can support each other. I am not good with numbers. I don't purport to. But if our small community here can be a helpful resource where we can sort of employ each other's strengths to support each other, that would be a good thing to have. Who knows? So yes. Ooh, Laura sipping cappuccino and loving life. Okay, me, I was sat here with a cup of tea earlier, and Lollipop had coffee earlier, I believe, and Tapita. Tapita, it's still good morning back wherever she is in America. So, yeah, it's been a look. We were supposed to come here and talk about tips for this cake because when we were making the cake, I realized I wasn't very engaged in the chat. So I thought I would come and talk about some of the tips to get the best results out of this. But life has happened and we've had to just talk about our own lives and the things that have devastated us a little bit, including the worries that are on our mind. You know what? I think, Lollipop, I'm with you. We British people love our instant stuff, okay? Like the gravy, instant gravy. Now look at me coming for your gravy, though, people. Look at me coming for your gravy. But no, I'm joking. All right. So, yep, people. Let's just say the tips didn't happen, but we had more tips about life, okay? Management, problematic family members, and everything else in between. So you know what? I have prayer meeting to go to later. I'm gonna go now, okay? Lollipop, the gravy is trash. You watch your mouth, you. Oh God, coffee machine is a good investment. Ah. You know what? Dolly, you were asking about the Mother's Day. We started that conversation and then we pivoted and we were talking about something else. We were talking about the options of cakes for Mother's Day, and I'm thinking making a live for Mother's Day is, of course, I welcome that. Lives are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursday, right? So I'm kind of thinking, can we do our first bake along for the Mother's Day event? It's something I have to sit and plan. And Dolly, I haven't forgotten that there's some paperwork and feedback I have to send you. The admin part of the what I do is so extensive. I end up like slacking. Okay, so sometimes the idea is there, but it means I have to go and get a resource person to support me. Otherwise, I get lost in the details. So I say that to say I don't want to promise something I cannot deliver. That is my goal here. I can only do what I can. And then some things is like, okay, it takes planning. So let's just say for Mother's Day, I think we are 5 weeks away from the UK Mother's Day. Tapita, I missed the chat here. Let's see. Tikka sauce with who's making tikka sauce with shepherd's pie? Who is that evil genius? Nobody asked for that. Who? Dolly, I will answer your question in a minute, but let me just find out who is adding tikka sauce to shepherd's pie? Lollipop. Lollipop. Now I'm looking at you funny. You know what, Dolly? Sometimes I kind of feel like I chat with you here. So it's not so much that I have forgotten. In my head, I kind of feel like I have answered you already. But I realized that going back, you were asking me specific questions about the logos and stuff. So that I have to respond to. But it was one day and another. I will catch you. You know what? Let me catch you on WhatsApp. I promise. Let me catch you on WhatsApp and let's kind of sort that out. I find that the admin part of my tasks, there are aspects I outsource to a VA, and that is if they have to respond to enquiries quickly. Because they are a VA, they are not cake makers, right? So when the subject involves cake making, or the subject is, if I have to respond to cake-centered subjects, I have to do it myself. And to be honest, I don't have time. That is also why I have been very reluctant to extend myself beyond what I can do at the minute. So it's the reason why I don't do anything else outside of just recipe development, the live sessions, filming myself, because I do all of that, including the editing, all myself. So the admin task can be a little bit lower on my priority list, but that's not because you are less of a priority. It's just that some things really do stretch my time out and it's hard to kind of keep up. So let me catch you on WhatsApp and then we can talk through all of that, and then I can touch base with you on where you are at as well, Dolly. Okay, so that's for you, Dolly. I'll catch you, bear with me. But on the subject of the Mother's Day cake, I was also well, we'll come back to the tikka stuff, but hear me, people. We're talking about what we are likely to do on the Mother's Day. I know the UK based the UK Mother's Day is different from the US. There are two different dates. So I'm thinking I want to, because we if you were here earlier, I'm sure, Dolly, you missed it. We were talking about how we can extend the value and start classes and all that stuff. So I was trying to solicit some feedback, and I've got some information. I'm going to do some research and create some resources and come back and speak to you about it. But it will be lovely to have a session on Mother's Day. I'm thinking about how we can do that. Are we just going to do it as a Zoom where I'll show up and we talk and discuss that on the Zoom, or it's a live where all of you, we know that, say, if Mother's Day is, let me just pick a random day, if say Mother's Day is 30th of March, that's just an example, and I'm like, okay, we're going to be hosting a Mother's Day bake along or decorating along. If it's a decorating session, you will obviously have received the resources. I'll post it on the community post where possible. If I can email it, I'll send that all to you via email so that you guys get organized, and then we know that the session starts at, say, X time on this day, and then all of you can log back on the Zoom on the day, I says on the live on the day. So it's going to be interactive for those of you who are going to participate on it. I hope that kind of makes sense, so that you can all be part. But I'm also thinking, for it to be more effective, let's start from ground zero. So let's pick an item. Are we baking cupcakes for Mother's Day? Are we baking a cake that we are going to then carve into a Mother's Day element? What are we doing? So let me go and see how we can plan that out. And then I'll put a community post up. Keep an eye out. And if I do put the poll out, please respond to it so that it informs me from there on. So let's get prepping and planning for Mother's Day for the UK. My US people, when is your Mother's Day? Tapita, when is Mother's Day in the US? Yeah, I know. It will be lovely to come back and do something on Mother's Day. It really will be. So I will keep you posted on the Mother's Day activity on the community post in that. But again, Dolly, I'll catch you via WhatsApp. Okay, honey? Right, let's see. Lollipop, let's see. So Lollipop, you're the one who is sitting there making tikka sauce with shepherd's pie. I can't wrap my head around it, but I trust that you will yield. It's 11th of May. Thank you, Laura. So it's 11th of May for the US, but the UK Mother's Day is about 5 weeks away, I believe. Lollipop was telling it's about 38 days out. So it's about 5 weeks away, if I'm right. So let's get the day, and if we are going to kind of do anything, let's plan ahead for it. Whether we're just baking a selection of cupcakes, the cupcakes will include how to present it. So it's not just baking cupcakes for baking sake. But I am also aiming that if we were undertaking a bake, it would be simplistic, it would be doable, and the intention is for you to serve it as part of your Mother's Day activity. Okay, that will be my intention. Yes, so Mother's Day. So it's 20th of March for the UK. Okay, amazing. And 11th of May. So we're going to be doing twice. I have an 8-inch tin, so I need recipes that can cook well in that size. No problem, Lollipop, I've got you covered. If you have an 8-inch tin, if that's all you have, fine. Let's see what I will kind of work out what we can do for, because if I can, I am hoping that we can start, if you're a complete beginner or you are even baking at home and you have staff, I am hoping that we can stick with what you already have so that you don't have to go and splurge. Okay, so yeah, the idea is to create something simplistic, and then we employ all the other tips to kind of make it presentable. I am sure our mothers will be pleased if they woke up to a nice baked cake with great results from us. Okay, so yes, we have an impending activity, Mother's Day. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the community here, and keep supporting us. And we have more things ahead. We are headed to oh, it's 3-inch deep. That is fine. You know what? Yeah. So you know what? Me and my non-committal self, I'm committed to this. So you heard it here first. We are trying to work out a bake along for Mother's Day activity. I will keep you updated on how we are going to execute that. So if I put up a post about this activity on the community post, get under it and register your interest over there, right? So that we can see how to organize it, because value is still important to me. I want this to be valuable for you. At the moment, my only platform that I am active at is on YouTube. I have a Facebook account connected to this business name, but I don't use it much. Some days I remember Dolly saying I should consider a place where you guys can come and post what you do and all this stuff. I am just not, because much of this relies on me. I don't want to stretch myself outside more than I can bear, because then at that point you begin to lose value, as in you begin to diminish the value that you're offering. So trying to work out, Laura, because you're the serious person, we can organize this on Microsoft Teams, right? Who has Microsoft Teams, Zoom? Because I know I hold meetings on my Teams. My last meeting was on Teams. Microsoft Teams. It's like a Zoom, but it's on Microsoft. Lollipop, you sure have heard about Zoom, right? Yeah. I have Teams, I have Zoom. So yeah. Well, you know what? Let's go and figure it out, and then we'll come back and I'll keep you updated about all of that, people. Yeah. Lollipop, I'm sure you've heard about Zoom, haven't you? Yeah. So Zoom is Zoom, and Microsoft Teams is the sort of Zoom for Microsoft. So because I have a sort of business package where I pay for the entire Microsoft services. So you have the Word and PowerPoint and all of that stuff. So it's like, in the past, I've held like consultations and meetings on Teams, but most people use Zoom. So I'm having to transition to Zoom for meetings and consultations and stuff like that. So yeah, let's go and work that out, and then I'll come back. But it will be lovely to kind of work out what we want to achieve on Mother's Day. From something as simplistic, you'd be surprised what it would look like baking cupcakes. The idea of cupcakes may seem like it's something so small, and sometimes when you're thinking about giving a gift to somebody, especially a baked item, you are thinking something elaborate. You'd be surprised the simplistic things you can do to give to loved ones, from baking simple brownies. So if I was a complete beginner and I don't know what to bake, I won't be. The idea of giving this to somebody on Mother's Day is amazing, but it's a lot, especially if you're starting. It can be overwhelming. So to reduce your stress, start small. So think about, say, if it's a selection of cupcakes, you do that. And then if it's brownies, and sometimes, in fact, the gift is in the intention and the imagination of presenting them, right? You can make brownies. I gift brownies to my son's school all the time, but they never get fed up with it because of how I creatively package them. So the idea is in how you package them more than the thing itself. You could buy stuff from a charity shop, Poundland. It is the intention of how you put it together. When the person receives them, they don't look like the value in money. The value is extended in the thought and intention. So I'll keep you updated about how quick we can do that. See, Lollipop, these days you can almost find any and everything on YouTube. You know what? We are not there yet. We are still discussing, but it's 20th of March. So we are exactly 4 weeks away from the Mother's Day bake along. So this won't be the last of it. You will hear about it on every live, so that the more of you want to join, you can join in and you can register your interest, and then we can have a bake along and we'll see what the bake along experience feels like. Okay, my people, I will be excited. I really want to do that. I really want to do a bake along session with you. I know we've been talking about it forever, but people, we are pushing 8K. We are coming up to 7.5 7,500 subscribers. Imagine 7,000 people in a room. Imagine. Just to give you it's 30th, Dolly. Better get your dates right. 30th of is it 30th of March? I knew that was, yeah. Okay. So Tapita, are you asking how the bake along would fit? You know what? It's the UK based Mother's Day. We don't know the details yet. So let me kind of figure out the details and oh yeah, you were asking how, yeah, 7. You know what? I think the online thing, the numbers matter. I mean, 7,500 people is like a mini stadium, because I think the average stadium, don't quote me on this one, the average stadium is about, a reasonable size is about 9,000, if you like. For instance, apparently, just to bring you some context, apparently the stadium where Prince Harry held the Invictus was holding 14,000 people, okay? And supposing every seat was filled, if you see a shot of that, that's 14,000 people. That's a lot of people. So imagine there's half of those people and we are a cake decorating channel, right? So that's great. The thing with being online is that whilst every number counts, every number is not as active and as supportive as everybody else, and that matters. So when considering activity, you look at a percentage, and at the moment a realistic percentage of an active engaged group is about 2 to 3% of your entire audience. I mean, I have people saying to me, I love your, I've actually in the lives, I've seen comments of people say, I've watched your videos for 3 years, it's the first time I'm making a comment. And that reflects true for some of us. I live online, I have a platform, but I'm not active in people's channels, but I do watch them. I hardly say anything anywhere. I hardly do. So I kind of understand the sort of passive attitude we have. It's not even personal. Sometimes people come online for escapism, and the escapism is in a form where they just want to consume. They don't want to be actively involved. So when you're looking at, say, an engaged audience, it is not the same as your total number of audience. At the moment, some of you that I know by name, I can count on maybe the entire one hand, right? Especially those of you who are consistent, those of you who are like actively missed when I don't see you in the chat, from your lollipops to Tapita to Laura to Delaney to the lot of you. There are, and Thelma. Oh, where is Thelma, by the way? Where is Thelma? Where is Erica? Right? So at the moment, our active audience is fairly small, but it's not a bad number as well, because at the end of the day, whilst it's still a numbers game, it's still important that whilst we are still a small channel, there is a connection here, you know. So I am still, imagine if I had an in-person class, my in-person class will not be any more than 10 at a time. And that is solely by intention. It is probably 8 to 10. 10 will be my maximum. So imagine if I have, out of the nearly 7,500, let's say a standard of 7K, and I had I think out of the 7K, 10% will be 700. I don't need 700. You're looking at, if we're looking at 1% of that, that would be 70. Is that correct? Laura, help me with the math out. 1% of 7,000 is about what? 70. And for 70, if I had to hold classes, that would be 8 to 10 person in the in-person class. So, and that will not be every week, right? And how many weeks make the year? There's 12 months in a year. So if I'm holding one class per month, that will be one class per 6 weeks for the entire year. I think that won't be a bad thing. That will create connection, that will deliver value. That is way better than rushing out and just wanting to churn classes out to people. So I say that to say, whilst we are still a numbers game, the numbers matter in the fact that YouTube is a numbers game, right? The bigger you get, the bigger, the more likely YouTube will recommend your content, as long as the content are still satisfying your audience. But I think the good thing about the lives is that there's a connection here. I'm literally sat in my kitchen and I've been sat here for nearly 2 hours. Have I? Yeah. And we're talking. So I never want to lose this aspect, because that's important. Because even though there are people who are still passive, it doesn't mean they are not engaged, and it doesn't mean they don't know what we're doing. They just find it comfortable sitting on the sidelines. But for those of you who are still here talking to me and being engaged and registering your voice and creating the connection and engagement going, I sincerely appreciate it. Not for my own fulfillment, but for the fact that you choose to do that for yourselves as well. And I sincerely appreciate that. Laura out here crunching the numbers. Yes, we have sought out our people, haven't we? 52 weeks in a year, right? So 52 weeks in a year, if we were holding, if we had, say, 70 people, if we split 70 people into 52 weeks, so that's 4 weeks in a month, if you like. So yeah, a class every 6 weeks wouldn't be bad, would it? Excluding my holiday time, okay? Because actually, when I come to think about it, I don't want to bake during the summer. It's too hot. I don't want to bake it in the summer. What have I missed over here? Let's see. You know what? Thank you, Tapeta. I know you guys, we have found our own people, okay? And for that, I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I'll tell you, when I started YouTube, right, I just wanted to create the video and disappear. I didn't want anybody to hear from me. I have nothing to tell you. I just want to make cake. And then I had a consultation with a mentor who actually said to me, what you do, people will find. But people sometimes desire to know who you are. And I think that even though I'm quite an open and chatty person, I don't feel like there's a part of me that also feels like if I wouldn't share stuff with my family, the things I don't tell my family, I shouldn't come in. It's not a therapy session. It's nice to have fun, but it's not fair to the... Okay, I take that back. I am saying this because I know I am an educational channel who teaches cake. And there hasn't been the middle ground where we are crossing and discussing our trauma, okay? If I hadn't created this live, okay, where there is like a dedicated time to chit chat and connect with you, if I only made a video about cake and posted it, there will not be any avenue for you to know me and to want to talk to me. So I was talking to a business mentor who actually said, it's important you get to know your people, because that is important in identifying the group you are trying to serve. And that was really a little scary for me, because in my life, I am an oversharer. I do. I am. But growing and learning and recognizing that, yes, you can get to know people and reveal yourself without pushing them away with too much. Or do you know what I mean? So even for my vlogs, I mean, I have a whole life. I'm a mom. I have a home. But the vlogs are very cake centered, and that is because the largest part of my life, I think if I split my life into three, cake consumes 2/3 of my life. So it's an easy subject to bring. And I think sometimes if you're not careful about your own intention, and then you just let things run with you, that's where you get into crisis, and then people be out here trying to monetize their children, you know. And I'm like, let's just make cakes and move on, okay? Let's just lollipop, have I told you you're my person? You know what, half of the time it's because mentally we are thinking about it. But if you find your person, they will not think that about you at all, you know. They wouldn't. But yeah, I have felt that way a lot. I'm like, oh God, did they even ask me that? Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Seems like my therapy session's paid off. Oh Lord, yeah. Because it is so easy. I literally had to sit down and think about, it's not, I think for those people who started very young, remember YouTube is it's an evolving community, as in it's an evolving platform. And I kind of sometimes feel sorry for the people who started this without knowing what they were getting themselves into. I wonder, this is a conversation I have with my sisters and friends outside of YouTube about the creators who monetized their entire life, right? When this started, they really didn't know what they were getting into. And it was almost like, you know, I am closer to 40 than I am 30. And when I look at my 20s, there are some mistakes I realized, oh God, I thank God I made those mistakes before social media became a thing. Do you know what I mean? Yet there are some young people who sort of lived their 20s in front of a camera because they didn't know what they were doing. And then in their 30s and nearer to their 40s, they are attempting to establish boundaries. But at that point, it seems like it's too late. The audience keep wanting more and more and more and more. And those creators are always under fire. It's either the audience are complaining, this creator has done this. And some days I sit back and I'm like, oh, what? The gift of maturity and the gift of growing old, and with that comes wisdom, you know, the gift. I'm like, dear God, I thank you that I found YouTube at a time when I had something to share with the world. Because can you imagine, it must be an odd thing to just want to tell people about you. Am I crazy for thinking it is very self-centered and it is so narcissistic? I'm not talking about narcissism like as in like, I'm talking about like the part where you think that, hey, this is what I'm wearing, and that's all there is to you. I'm not judging, I'm just thinking out loud, don't you think? Yeah. Summer of 86, thank you. I'm like, you know, maybe I say this from a place of privilege, because when all else fails, trust me, I am a teacher at heart, okay? And this is what I teach. So I guess if you ask me why did I show up on YouTube, it's because I wanted to use it as an opportunity to grow my own skill, okay? And to also share the process with the world. When it's not a question of if. I know the subject of what I do has become very hearty, and most of you do express the sentiment, oh, why aren't you bigger than you should be? You know what? I know we will grow. That I know. And that is because I know if you are diligent at what you do, if you are committed at what you do, if you put your heart in what you do, it's almost like if you grow your seeds on a fertile ground and you commit yourself to cultivating it, there is no way that seed dies. And that principle applies in all aspects of our lives, from our work life to our family life to our relationships, and also to YouTube, if that's a career choice one has chosen. So I have no doubts that, all things being equal, by God's grace, if I commit to what I'm doing and trust the process, there is no way I will fail, all things being equal. So the part where it's like, why aren't you bigger? I am not in a hurry, honey. And I don't say that from a place of like a pedestal. I say that from a place of grace and humility, knowing that my time will come. And I feel scared about what that looks like, because this here I enjoy. I do. Being able to address you guys individually, connect with you as if I know you, it warms my heart. I leave this chat and I think about some of you in my everyday life. And I've had Chantilly P, and there's another person, she has a poorly child. I think about her all the time, you know. So this here is exciting. So I'm a teacher at heart. And if I didn't have cakes, I wouldn't be here. My life will go on behind. I don't have any need to come here and tell you about, look at what I'm wearing and my earrings. It's like, even posing for a photo makes me cringe sometimes. You know, so I say that to say, I thank God for wisdom. Okay? I thank God. I have people in my life that when I turn the camera on, first of all, my Christian values have taught me a lot. So I lead with that. And then I also have people who I respect. I mean, for God's sake, my pastor watches me. So I can't be out here in these streets with my knickers on and be like, oh, I'm dressing. Like, what am I dressing for? God, did you not put on your clothes before you turned on the camera? Oh, Lord. Some days I tell you. Now, this is my intrusive thoughts showing up. No, it's not sugar rose. These are artificial roses, but everything else, the roses and the flowers are artificial, but everything else is cake. Okay, if you're asking. Oh, Lord, that is so funny. You know? Ah, Lollipop, you were so kind. You know what? Thank you. I have, maybe one day I'll tell you something about me, right? Because some days I kind of think, oh, especially, I could talk for England. I could. And I am only getting confident in owning that, because even growing up, especially in an African home, as a child, you are to be seen, not heard. And I was always talking. I always had a mouth on me. Not that I was saying random things, but I could keep you engaged in a conversation talking random things. And it has always been a sore spot when society tries to tell you that thing that you talk too much, you do this. Not that anybody ever thought that was an odd thing, but it was like people would try to beat you down by it, and I would feel so insecure about it. Like, but I have never been one to function in like silence. it's just not my place. I do have quiet moments that I enjoy, but I'm a person who just like, who is outgoing. So coming on YouTube, if you go back, I'll point you to this. If you go back to my previous videos, it was very succinct. And that was by intention. Like when you click on the video, it's like, hello, welcome to my channel. And we're getting right into what we're doing. It's very different from the format, Simple Classic Bakes. Because Simple Classic Bakes, I think I had then grown in my own confidence. And I thought, nobody is watching a baking channel with me on camera. And I'm like so dry. Okay. And I think by the time I came to developing the format of Simple Classic Bakes, I had obviously gotten the feedback from the community that, you know what, we enjoy the fun and the sort of off the cuff chats. So then I transitioned that into Simple Classic Bakes. So if you go and see Simple Classic Bakes, like a baking show where I am talking about baking, but you can see personality. But the difference is that when I check out of Simple Classic Bakes, if you go back to the decorating videos, they are very dry and straight to the information. And I think some days it is still me battling with, you know, trying to curb my own personality and chattiness, and then delivering the information, because there's a voice in my head that is saying, nobody wants to hear about what you have to say. We are here for the cake. But I sincerely also appreciate those of you who I have built a connection with. And the funny thing is that it has become apparent that all of us in this interaction share some things in common, which kind of enhances the quality of the experience we have. So for that, thank you for giving my confidence back to me. Okay, thank you. I sincerely appreciate that. Lollipop, you forgot how old you were. My kid wanted to create social media video. Tapeta was saying, if her kid wanted to create social media video, what can she do? Okay, so Tapeta, if my kid wanted to create social media videos, she can do that when she pays her own house. You know what? I am so pleased that we still have parents who still want to be parents other than kind of monetize the children, because it's a tricky place to be, isn't it? Because some of the children who have been like in the family vlogging channels, like the story of, is it Ruby French? Her daughter came to speak up about it, that there should be some sort of regulation, isn't it? But yeah, you know what? If you let your children pick up the phone, the cat is out of the bag. Okay, because half of the time, right, if those of you who think like I don't look like this everyday, people. Well, you've seen me on my vlogs. I mean, have you seen the vlogs? So imagine my child picking up my camera to film me. Oh God, that would be a mess. We don't want that here. Should be seen and not heard. Okay, Lollipop, I've always been told children should be seen and not heard, and my opinion was always put aside. So I have a lot of pushback. Lollipop, you are my spirit animal, true and true. Laura has to flee. Laura, will see you next time. Catch you. Take care. Love to you. Lots. Okay. Okay. Bran, in Poland, you're still old style raising children. You know what? Some days just putting your foot down and being the parent is what works, isn't it? How do you minimize mouth coloring from deep colored? But Queen, I'll answer you in a minute. Tapita, my kid doesn't have a phone. Try that. She proved she absolutely could not be trusted with one. Okay, Tapita, I see ya. Okay, you are my kind of person. Now, Queen is asking, how does she minimize mouth coloring from deep colored buttercreams? Queen, the answer is not simple, and I don't think it's even possible, because when you color buttercreams very deep, and we're talking deep colors like your red, your blacks, your navy, is that the deeper tones we are talking about? When you color them, they take the entire buttercream so they can stain, right? So there is no way of avoiding that, but you can minimize or mitigate the problem by considering the brand of food coloring. Will it completely take away the problem? Not. For instance, if you were using Pro-Gel Red for a red based buttercream, it will give you a very deep red easily, but you are very sure it's going to stain whoever eats it, and it has a small aftertaste. Compared to color meal, you only need a few drops, right? And it will color. So my thing is, will it both stain? Yes. Will one be better than the other? Not so much, but whatever works better. So you can minimize the problem by focusing on the brand or changing the brand. But yes, deep colored buttercream can be tricky. If you've been on this channel before, I have spoken about my complete dislike for coloring buttercream. I have to, because I am a cake decorator, and occasionally the task has called for something for me to do with coloring the buttercream. And you've seen me on this channel color buttercreams of different sorts and use them. But coloring buttercream is not something I like very much for the same problem. And also it interferes with the quality and mouthfeel of the buttercream. So is there a specific answer to solving the problem? Not as I know. Okay, but you can change brands and minimize it depending on the quantity that is used for the coloring. I hope Queen, that answers the. I made a cake for my 2-year-old. Your mouth was blue. Yes. Welcome to cake decorating and to things that you cannot control. A Cookie Monster blue cake. Yeah, I am so sorry. That if you chose a blue cake, then yes, that is something that would have, I can almost imagine the Cookie Monster with all the blue piping details. Yep. Not only will your mouth be blue, but your hands will be blue too. Okay. Well, sometimes I have to bleach my hands to kind of get rid of the, as in, I'm talking about bleaching my hands to get the coloring out, not bleaching my skin. Okay, let's be clear. Okay, immersion. Yes, when you use an immersion blender, it does, but it does alter. I think the point where you have to color your buttercream to get a very, very deep color introduces different problems that are unmitigated sometimes. Does that make sense? So yeah. Okay, but Dolly just made a suggestion here. She said using black cocoa powder is perfect. Yes, black cocoa powder is perfect for buttercreams, and it doesn't stain. True. But that's only one color. So you can swap one thing for another, the black cocoa powder for a black buttercream. What about if you're making blue buttercream, or when you're making red buttercream? What's the alternative? So yes, you can substitute one thing for another for one thing, but it doesn't solve the entire problem. And I think for Queen, we were talking about the subject of her problem over there. I hope that kind of makes sense. But that said, good people, we have been here for a little over 2 hours. I should have been gone a little long ago. But I think I got comfortable sitting down, because sometimes the standing will get me moving rather quickly. So you know what? If you don't have any more cake decorating questions, for all of us who have like some really sketchy family members, let's embrace them with so much love. If we have money problems, Hopefully we will make some progress and get out of it, as long as we have life and good health. If it's about cake, I am here to help, and I hope I can contribute in my own small way to encourage, support, and inspire you to undertake your baking and decorating. And for Queen, I read for blue. You try a blue. I guess you can have substitute. My point is, it's not a one solution for all things, Queen. So you know what? I guess if you seek the answer, you will find it in different places. I don't have the entire answer because I avoid some of those problems altogether, which is why I don't like coloring my buttercream. But yes, for the blue, is it spirulina? Spirulina, it will work. And for red, you are not sometimes you can swap back to what do you call it, you can swap back to natural coloring. I don't know, one doesn't work for all of it, but my point is it's neither here nor there. So you know what, we've had a great day already. I pray whatever, it's only February, so there's still hope on the horizon. Let's stick with each other, let's still encourage each other, let's support each other. If you have a good day, hopefully that will sift through to some of the things that are bringing you anxiety. And I pray your anxiety settles. My Bible tells me we should not be anxious for anything, but in all things with prayer and supplication, let us bring our requests to the Lord, for he will be our helper every day. So I'm sending you my kind regards, best wishes, prayers, and thank you for sticking with me today. We haven't done anything serious about cakes, but it's been a joy to catch up with you guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. If I haven't already given up this cake. And the flower vase cake will be back. An edited version will be back on Sunday. But in between that, you can catch me on the community post for more engagement, more catch up and chats. Lollipop, I look forward to our catch-ups when I am not here. And for the rest of you, Thapita, hugs to mom, look after yourself, enjoy your day. And the rest of you who were here today, much love to you. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in my next video.